Joining us now is Alex Stein, comedian and host of Blaze TV's Primetime with Alex Stein. Alex, great to see you again. I mean, what did you make of that CBS interview? Is this a strategy now among Democrats to just storm off in interviews if you don't like questions or if you happen to get a follow-up question?
Well, of course. I mean, when you look at Katie Porter and her run for governor, it's going to be an epic failure. She knows that. So she doesn't want to try to go there and get exposed. And I think that's why she felt like she was being victimized, just being asked normal questions. And that's the problem is our politicians can't even answer a simple question. And that's the problem really on the left is at least the right. There's people like Charlie, and I know Charlie hadn't run for office yet, but people on the right are willing to actually ask and answer tough questions. People on the left, they refuse to have these conversations. So Katie Porter is a good example of the opposite of what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Charlie Kirk was trying to have
100%.
conversations that were difficult and unpleasant, and she's afraid to literally answer a question from a CBS journalist. So they're the opposite, polar opposites of the leaders on the right. And California is basically the side effect of California's, all of their failures is a side effect of their leadership.
Yeah. And look, let's look at LA Mayor Karen Bass. There's been a major development on the devastating January fires. Authorities have now confirmed that a 29-year-old man has been charged with setting a blaze that later grew into the Palisades fire. So Jonathan Rinjanet, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, is accused of maliciously sparking a fire on January 1. Now, the Palisades fire, as we know, left 12 people dead, destroyed more than 7,000 homes and businesses, caused about $150 billion in damages. Now, this man who has been charged with setting a blaze is understood to be a Biden-supporting Uber driver. He allegedly used ChatGPT to research fires. Alex, right now people are looking back at old clips of LA Mayor Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom during the real crisis point of these fires. People were losing their homes. It was just devastating. And Gavin Newsom was also kind of suggesting, but not directly stating it, that there were suggestions that this was a climate change that climate change really played a role in the fires. But could I get your reaction now that a 29-year-old man has been charged 9 months on?
Well, it's good that they caught the guy and it's good that he's being charged. And if he was looking up all these things, I think it's pretty obvious that he's guilty. But luckily in America, you know, you're innocent until proven guilty. So he'll have his day in court. And as terrible as his actions were, I actually think that it's actually worse that Karen Bass didn't have water in the fire hydrants. And the fact that, Gavin Newsom wants to blame he literally wants to blame the climate for this fire. And in a way, he's actually right, because if he actually used his funding to clear this dry brush, then this fire wouldn't have been able to spread so easily. So I do actually kind of blame the environment, but it's not because of climate change. It's because they are too incompetent to actually pay landscapers or pay the right people to go and clean all this brush up and not make it where it's basically a matchstick in the middle of one of the most populated areas of California. So it's a horrible tragedy. This guy deserves, in my opinion, basically the death penalty, up in the closest thing to it, because a lot of people's lives were just turned upside down. The whole country's lives were turned upside down. And I think Karen Bass, and I'm not saying this lightly, has blood on her hands for not having all of the fire hoses working. I mean, literally people were going to fire hydrants and there was no reservoir of water. That makes no sense. And then when the head of the county of the fire response team said that they warned Karen Bass about this potential problem, Karen Bass overlooked it. And when the fire chief talked about this, the fire chief is the one that got fired. So it's absolutely ridiculous. We need to hold these politicians accountable. And there is blood on Karen Bass's hands because of this horrible tragedy.
Yeah, well, Karen Bass flew to Ghana to attend a cocktail party after vowing that she wouldn't be flying off while she was being the mayor of Los Angeles. And when she comes back, she refused to even answer questions. I mean, the handling and the incompetence, it was just absolutely appalling. And Alex, MSNBC is facing calls to sack host Nicole Wallace after she appeared to blame a house fire in South Carolina on Donald Trump and his supporters, of course, after authorities had ruled out arson. Listen to this.
When we come back, what we're learning about the fire that destroyed the home of a South Carolina Circuit Court judge who faced criticism from Trump officials after a ruling she made against the Trump administration. It comes amid a surge in hostility and threats against judges, as well as criticism directly from the Trump administration, including for Judge Goodstein, after she temporarily blocked the Justice Department from accessing the files of millions of registered voters in South Carolina.
Right, and when you're starting to attack judges because of their rulings, we're in a very, very dangerous position in this country, and it makes judges fearful. It makes prosecutors fearful, as we know. It makes others in positions where they could be criticized by Donald Trump fearful, and he needs to know the power of his voice.
Alex, I want your reaction to that in just one moment, but Donald Trump has blasted MSNBC today at the White House. Listen to this.
Their ratings are terrible.
They are terrible.
MSNBC is dying, and CNN is dying like a dog.
And
poor CNN, they're so pathetic.
It is very pathetic.
You ever see their anchors in the evening? That nobody ever heard of them. Where do these people come? I could take anybody off the street in Washington, D.C. They'd do a better job.
Yeah, and it's not hard to show what's going on these days. You literally have an iPhone and you can post it on X.
They don't believe in the star system, It's just one of those things, right?
Yeah, Alex, I love the way he speaks sometimes. He's not wrong.
No, he's not. And MSNBC, their ratings are absolutely horrible. CNN, I mean, just they couldn't be really doing any worse than MSNBC. And MSNBC is doing so bad, they're having to do a rebrand and change their name to MS now. They're doing that because NBC is embarrassed by their low performance. And that's a horrible sign when you actually have a recognizable name brand in MSNBC and you want to kind of disassociate yourself with it. It's because they've tarnished their legacy by just giving fake news. And everybody knows that. That is the one thing that I'm so thankful for Donald Trump, because he did call out fake news. And a lot of us, we used to just trust the news blindly. And because of Donald Trump, we all realize that the news is all biased and more than likely probably a lie. So I'm very thankful for Donald Trump actually having, the courage to call out the mainstream media, because really and truly, they don't care about the American people. They just want to keep us in the dark when it comes to truth.
Mainstream media and then also celebrities, because it's just been resurfaced what Oprah Winfrey had to say while she was endorsing Kamala Harris. This clip has been going viral today because it was almost a year ago that she said this.
Sit this one out. We don't get to sit this one out. If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And you can hear people cheering after Oprah Winfrey says that. And isn't it weird that what Oprah said has not happened, and Donald Trump is right now making peace deals in the Middle East?
Yeah, and the worst part about that is I believe Oprah's production company got paid $20 million allegedly to go and make that statement. So that is called fear mongering. She's using fear to scare everybody as if democracy is going to die if Donald Trump wins, when in reality, Donald Trump would risk his life to save democracy and save our democratically run country. So they all have to lie. Oprah, she barely opened up the highway that she owns in Hawaii when they had that tsunami warning. So she doesn't truly care about people. She wants to virtue signal. She wants to give the impression that she's all about the people because she gave people, a Toyota Camry on her show. That she gave a bunch of people free cars, 20 years ago, and she thinks that, her karma is going to be fine. Oprah is probably, of all the celebrities, and I hate to say this because I actually did like her show, she could care less about the American people. She's probably the most highfalutin, stuck-up host of all of them. And I say this because she is talented, but she's just so elitist. It rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I used to like her as well. When you hear her say things like this, so close to the election last year, it's hard to have any respect for her. Now, Donald Trump met with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House to negotiate a trade deal, and the president couldn't resist interrupting the Canadian PM.
This is, in many respects, the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going.
Yeah, he never misses, does he?
No, but honestly, I disagree with Trump on this. And I don't want Canada. Canada is a great country. I got a lot of Canadian friends, but I want Canada to be Canada. I want America to be America. And their currency is so much weaker than us. They're the only ones that I think benefit. And then all the Canadians get American citizenship. So really, America in this deal loses. But Donald Trump is a very smart guy. So I know that his ideas are not dumb. But personally, I want Mark Carney to run Canada, and I want Donald Trump to run America.
Yeah, he's just brilliant at trolling, isn't he? You can just imagine all the lefties freaking out about making a joke like that. Now, I want to talk to you, of course, about Charlie Kirk. It's been 1 month, I think it's 1 month tomorrow, since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It was, well, you know, one of the most horrific things I think we've ever had to see. Now, you've been out speaking at college campuses, keeping his legacy going. How's it been out there?
Well, you know, I am just a nobody compared to Charlie Kirk. I'm so thankful that Turning Point even allows me to go speak to the students on campus. And I know that ever since Charlie's death, how terrible that was, Turning Point has gotten such an influx in requests to start new chapters and join and even, you know, purchase merch that they're overextended. They can't even accommodate all the requests they're getting. And Charlie would love that, because now Turning Point is as big as it'll ever be. But in a million years of me going out there and trying to debate college kids, I will never be as good as Charlie Kirk. I will never fill Charlie Kirk's shoes. And I'm just so thankful that I got to be, you know, friends with Charlie, and I got to talk to him. And even though I was older than Charlie, I looked up to him so much. I wanted to emulate him, so much so that Charlie thought it was so funny when I would go on college campuses and I would pretend to be Charlie Kirk by calling myself Charlie Kurt, and that all the students really thought it was Charlie. So I would get huge crowds.
Amazing.
And actually Charlie liked it because at the end of the day, it helped Turning Point get more students at their events. So Charlie, all he cared about was a mission, and I miss him. And it's an honor and privilege to even get to represent Turning Point at all these great universities I speak at.
Alex, power to you for keeping it going, and we'll keep following your journeys and your experiences speaking to college campus kids. We really appreciate you joining us on Power Hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.